Welcome back to DUBBZI Bricks for another episode of building the Tantive in Lego. And we're going to be starting off this update with a haul. We've had 3 parcels come in from lego.com. One of these I did order a little while ago and I just haven't opened it because I knew there was parts in there that I wasn't quite ready for. But yeah, let's have a look and see what we've got here. So this first one just here, we've got some parts for doing the cockpit skin, but there are also some pieces in here for Ace Chemicals. And again, this one is a load of brackets. Here we've got some torsos in here as well, which are going to be some prisoners for Arkham, and there are also some pieces in here as well for a future mock build that I'm going to be doing, which is going to be a one-off video. Now, the reason this is in several orders are due to gift purchases. It was the Duck Family GWP, and it made sense to place several orders just to get the extra GWPs. The largest package of all, we have got a whole load of the curved slopes here, which we're using on the engine section. Now that these have arrived, I can actually use these on the boarding section. And again, in here we have a selection of pieces for the Tantive. So let's sort all of these pieces out and I'll show you exactly what we've received. And that's the smallest of the orders, all sorted and checked. And we have more pieces than we should have. A couple of orders ago, we had pieces missing. And since then, we've been getting more pieces. So as I mentioned before, it all evens itself out. So first of all, we have got these brown tiles here, which got the hole in. And I'm using these on the pipework on Ace Chemicals. And that's the same for the 2x2 round bricks there. They're for Ace Chemicals. And then we've got the black windows finally in to do the front of the structure as well. At the moment, we have white ones in there just for a temporary fix. We've got these 2 6x6 white tiles. They're obviously for the Tantive for some greebling. I've got some of these curved slopes, which I'm going to be using on the skin of the vessel where it curves over. It just helps to get the pieces close together. And then we've got the 1x's of those as well. Then we've got these panels here in 2 and 3 long. So when you overlap these two, it gives you quite a nice fit. And then finally over here, we have got some 1x2 plates. So that's the first order all checked off. On to the second. And here is the next order. And we've got some more of these 1x4 curved bricks here. And they're going to be for the skin once again, as are these 2x2 slopes. We got some more of these hinge pieces just here, and they're obviously for the skin to get that curved shape. These parts here are for a future mock build. The red slopes here are obviously for the Tantive, and then we've got a whole load of these brackets, both with the studs on the top and also on the bottom, and these are for a future project. And again, with this order, we had several extra pieces. So we're on to a winner today. We ordered 300 of these curved slopes here for the hull of the ship, and we've received 309, so that's a bonus as well. Now on to the final package, and this one's going to take a little bit longer to sort. And here we have the other order sorted, and we were missing just one part, one of those there. However, there were a couple of pieces extra in this order as well. So once again, it's all evened out, so no problems there. So what have we got here? First of all, we have got the brackets here with the studs on the bottom part, and then some on the top. We've got some Incredible Hulk hands and arms. We've got 4 panels there, the curved 90-degree ones, and these are for my Ace Chemicals. Got the cone pieces at the back there. These are for the guns, as are these ribbed 2x2 round bricks. The wheels there, they are also, the wheel rims, they're also for the guns on the Tantive IV. We've got some curved slopes for the hull, as well as these 1x4s. We've got some 1x2 plates. We've got some curved slopes. Now, these are off of Speed Champions, or that's where I first saw them. So they've got an angle on the curved slope, and I'm just going to be experimenting a little bit with different parts of the hull. It might just give me a little bit more freedom with what I do. We've got some of the 1x2 brackets with a stud on the bottom. We've got a load of these 1x2 brackets with studs on the bottom, and this is for the roof above Leia's stateroom. I wanted to just experiment and see if I can get that as a tidier fit, so hopefully that all works out. Got some 1x1 studs. We got some of the more curved slopes, cut curved slopes, I suppose you class those as, and the same with these here. Got some 1x round bricks, I suppose you class them as, and again they are so I can get a nice finish on the hull. We've got some 90-degree curved slopes, and they are for the top of the 2 escape pod cannons. Over here we have got some red tiles. They are for my Ace chemical signs, and these trans tiles here, again, they are for the Ace chemical sign. I'm going to be experimenting with lighting the sign up. We've got cockpit glass there. That's for my June ornithopter, as I borrowed the one off of that set for something else. We've then got 6 minifigures here with the prison uniforms on there, so they're going to be for Arkham Asylum. We've got 1 random torso just there, which is for a future project, and all of these other pieces here are there for again for a future project. So all sorts of pieces here. I don't even know what you class these as, but lots of Technic pieces there. And we've got 8 white night helmets over the back there. And yeah, all of these pieces here are for a future project. But yeah, there we are. It's nice to have all these orders all sorted. Now, let's go on with the building. And this is the section that we're going to be working on in this update. And it's this part here that I want to get sorted. I want to get the cylinders all the way around the boarding section of the ship on both sides and get a nice finish to it as well. This is the only style that we've had, or the only look that we've seen on this section in the past, and this is covered in dust. As is a lot of the Lego in this room, unfortunately, so we really need to get that cleaned as we go along. But yeah, the problem with this design is I've yet to find something where I can fill the gaps and it looks good, it looks curved. Even if I was to put tiles up to sort of like this bit here, there is still a very small gap on there. It doesn't look right, and it feels like you've got too many straight lines going around as opposed to a nice curve finish. So I am just going to experiment with other techniques on here, just see if there is anything better that I can come up with. But one other thing I do need to do is make an amendment to this corridor. Somebody did mention in the previous update that they thought this corridor was too wide, and I thought I'd done it the same size as previously, but yeah, it is too wide by 2 studs. This one here is the correct size, but this one's wider, so I just need to get that amended. It's not a great deal of work involved. It's just a case of pulling a few tiles up inside there, break the walls off very carefully, shift them in by a stud, and then put the roof back on. And again, the roof is the correct width here, all the way going back, with the exception of just there and the front bit here. So again, very small alterations needed with that. Also in the comments last update, there was a lot of great ideas in regards to how I can get the lights looking better in here. So thank you very much to everybody that put a comment on there. It was much appreciated. There are a couple of techniques I want to experiment with. Whether or not I can get it done in this update or not, I'm not sure. With this panel on here, obviously it is going to be trapping the lights in there, so it does make sense to try and get it all resolved today. So without further ado, let's take the panel off the top of here, get those tiles all pulled up and get the corridor to the correct size. And that's that job all sorted. The corridor has been narrowed by 2 studs, and it was quite a bit of work involved in certain parts of it. This section down here I had to build. This bit here has been shrunk by 1 stud, but I had to pull up pretty much all of this here, as you will see in the photo on the screen now. And that was due to this section here needing to come over by 1 stud, and there were plates in the way, so I had to pull them up. But it was a good thing really, because I wanted to sort the lights out under here that are lighting this section here, just pull the bulbs through a little bit more. So I thought, while I'm at it, I might as well do that at the same time. But it's only taken probably about half hour or so to get that all sorted, so time well spent. But now we've got that sorted, we're going to put the ceiling section back on here, have a little bit of a play with the lights and see if I can get that a little bit better than how it was. Because once I've done that, I'm then going to build over the top with the cylinder. And we are starting to have some frustrations with this part of the build now. I've reduced the panel on the top of the corridor section just here so I can fit this circle around there. And I wish I could use these parts, as I did order several hundred of them when I first started the build series for this purpose. But the problem I'm having is when you tile over the top, you've got horrible gaps along here, and I can't find a way of making it look tidy and to a standard that I'm happy with. I did also look at using these parts here, however the angle on them is too sharp an angle for it to work. the size of the engines is the maximum size circle that you can get away with using that part, and that's about that much narrower. So I am going to have to think about other techniques that I can use to cover this part of the vessel. The obvious option is to do a very similar technique to what I'm using on the cockpit area. However, I can't do that at the moment, as I would need to purchase a whole load of white bricks. So until I can get to the Lego store to get some, that is out of the question. So I'm just going to have one last attempt at tiling around this, just in case there's a technique that I've missed. But other than that, I think it's going to be a case of turning my attention over to another part of the vessel over here. And I've just started experimenting with the panels here, and I've made it so that all of them are the same shape and size. However, when I put it together, the cone is too wide on one end. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to extend this by 4 studs. Now this one here is 4 studs longer due to this section on the end here. So basically I'm going to be making this entire panel all one. So what the plan is so 8 studs is all going to be at one height, then it's going to go up by 1 plate, and then it's going to be another 8 studs up by 1 plate, and then another 8. That way it's just going to shallow that angle down a fraction, and hopefully it's going to give me the cone that I'm looking for. And there we have the first panel all in place, and took quite a while to get it attached, but perseverance, finally got there. And with the panels here, I've still got to work out how I'm going to attach all the ones at the bottom, but what I have done is attached these 2 sections together. I did experiment with this when I was doing the top part, however I couldn't make it work, but after stepping away from this for a while and coming back to a fresh mind, it seems to, I've come up with a solution which I think is going to work. And how I've gone about doing so is I put a bracket into this part here. So you've got one just there in white, there's a red one in here, and then I've tiled the 2 together. It seems to be strong. It's no weaker, should I say, than the technique we're using at the top there, but it does mean that we're going to lose any gaps that we would have been having along here. Now obviously this is looking really untidy at the moment because all of these have been knocked, so they would be a lot closer together, but I am hoping that this is going to be the solution to making this look a lot tidier. And I'll tell you, if I was building this again from scratch, I'd be doing it totally differently. I think I would have started with the lower section of this cone and then built up from there. The reason I didn't do it is because I thought it would get damaged as I was going along. I keep knocking it, breaking it, but I could have made it so much stronger. And it's now trying to find a solution to the problem and how I'm going to attach the hull to this part of the vessel. And I think the best way for me to tackle it is to actually make a plate that's the same shape as this part here, build the bottom half of the cone on there, and then slide it in. I've got this little shelf here, so I could rest it on there. I could hopefully find another way of sliding bits through the couple of holes there as well, so it doesn't move from side to side. Once I've done that, I'll then attach it somehow on the front here. So you get the section, slide it in, it's all in place. I'm going to have to make sure that it's very, very sturdy, as I'm going to be holding it by those panels. So I need to make sure they don't give way whilst I'm trying to position it. But yeah, this really is a very, very tough challenge, and it's going to be very, very time consuming as well, which is, yeah, we knew it was going to happen. It's why I've been putting it off, I think. But once I've got this one done, obviously the other side's going to be straightforward, and then it's going to give me a good idea of how I tackle this centre part. But I do think once I've got this part, the rest of the build is just going to feel like a piece of cake to build. But yeah, these things are sent to dry us. And here we have our panel, which we're going to be using to build the rest of the hull on. And these 2 parts here slide through a couple of holes just in here. So if we just slide that in like that, and try and do it one-handed. So there we go, and that all stays in place quite nicely. Now obviously once it's got a lot of weight, it is going to want to drop down, so we are going to have to find additional attachment points to this, but I'm confident now that we're on the right track, and building on this is going to be so much easier to get. The only thing I need to do is just make sure that the panels do come up this way enough. There's enough flexibility on that. Obviously the flexibility is one part that I don't want to have on here, so I think what I'll probably try and do is attach the first panel onto it whilst it's attached to this part, make sure it's all lined up, and then I'll take it away and then carry on attaching the rest of them thereafter. But yeah, finally feeling confident that we're going to get this part of the build all sorted. And there we have it. The second panel is all in place, and It's taken a while to get there. It's a case of trying to work out where the ball joints need to go. But at the moment, that's with no additional support. It's just the two arms in the end, which is really good. I'm happy about that. But we will find another way of doing so. But what we've done is we're replicating on both sides. It's just going to be a mirror image going across. Now that I've got this first panel on, I can do the other one, get the rest of this sorted, try and make it as strong as possible because I'm going to be holding it from this point, and then hopefully it's all going to work out well. So let's carry on building this up, and fingers crossed we get all that strength into the build. And this is where the fun now begins. This is working, it's definitely working, and happy with how it's coming along. The only problem I've got is it's more oval than it is circular, so I need to change the angles of all of these panels under here. So all of the work of getting it all attached together hasn't quite worked out as I was hoping. To give you an idea, if I put this bit up here, which is where it's going to be, you can see how much lower that plate is at the bottom, the red part. So what I now need to do is just start modifying this. And this is the one problem I've got with trying to build it as one structure is, yeah, it's going to be a lot of trial and error until we get it to the exact correct angle. And I have to start to get creative with the connection points on here. Just the weight of these, it wants to fall off a little bit too easy for my liking. So I've started using these here so I can get more contact on studs and wrap things around it. And it's just a larger version of these. So by doing so, the studs on the bottom of this part here are all connected. And then I've got a bar going across, so that's helping to keep it all together. And it is giving it quite a bit more strength. So hopefully that is going to solve the problem. I have made the necessary amendments to this now, and it does seem to be the right angle. So that's all good. All I need to do is work out how I'm going to cover the final strip on there. And then once I've done so, it's a case of working out how to keep the front end of it attached to the build. And there we have the bottom half of one side of the cockpit pretty much done. The end bits go on afterwards, so we attach it to the vessel and then carefully place those in there. This centre section here isn't actually attached to anything. It's just kept in place by these plates here that overhang, and they're wedging underneath these two parts just here. So yeah, hopefully that will do the trick. It seems to be working perfectly, so I know it's probably an illegal building technique, but we really do not care. So now it's time to try and put all of this together. So it's hopefully going to work like a bit of a jigsaw here. So first of all, we slide this section in just here, and so that goes back like so. Panels we will adjust very slightly afterwards. This part then goes on, which stops it from sliding forwards. And we've then got this part here, and this is going to actually help to hold that entire section up like so. So now that's all in place, we can then attach the red bits on the bottom. Now the only concern I've got at the moment, and this is something I've been struggling with the entire way through, is to get these as close to this as possible. So that it might be a little bit of a gap there, but it's something I'll just have to work on at a later stage. But anyway, let's attach all these red parts and then I'll show you how it finally looks. And there we have the bottom half of the hull on the cockpit section there, and it works, the technique works. And that was the most telling part, it was the trying part. So yeah, we've managed to get that all sorted. Now, there is obviously a massive gap here, which is not good enough. We have to get that sorted. I think I know how I need to amend it. It's just a case of redoing the panels on the inside. I just need to change a couple of the connection points on there, and then that'll push it all up. I might have to amend the center panel just here, but what I'm going to do, rather than start messing around with something I know works, I'm going to do the opposite side and see if we can get that part sorted first, because at the moment when you look at it, it's more of an oval than a perfect round circle. So yeah, we'll certainly get to the bottom of sorting the problem out, but this pattern here, or this technique here, is so much tidier. You can see a few gaps here at the moment. I think it's just because of the angle I'm stood at, but I think if I repeat it on the top, it's going to look a lot better than this. And also, if I can do it like that as well, so it's just one section that sits on there rather than loads of loose sections, again, that is going to be that much better. So it's not a massive amount of work achieved visually, this update, but it was certainly a satisfying portion, because now we've got this section done and we know how to make it work. I can get the other side done. This cockpit, we're going to have it completed not too much, pretty soon, basically. And yeah, this has always been the biggest challenge, this part of the build. So yeah, I know I've said it before, but I'm so happy to get this bit all completed. And a massive thank you to Muck Hucknall. Last week, a £50 donation to the channel absolutely blew me away. The generosity of the Lego community is just amazing. So yeah, thank you so much. Also had somebody contact me about white bricks again. So yeah, it is really great. And yeah, I couldn't do this build without you guys. Now, I did mention in the last update that there is a giveaway on the channel at the moment where I have a group ticket to go to BrickCon in Dublin at the end of September, and I'm going to be taking the Tantive IV BrickCon, so it's your chance to see that build. The prize is just for the tickets, it's not for getting there or accommodation or anything like that, unfortunately, so you will have to make your own way there. But yeah, there's a group ticket available, and all you need to do is just put a comment in the video saying enter me in the draw please, or something to that effect. Now, I'm also going to be doing a Q&A video. I did one, I think it was last August, and I've decided I'm going to be doing another one. I did put a post out on my channel a little while ago, or a few days ago, asking if you had any questions. But if there is any other questions that you like answering, just pop it in the comments of the video, and I'll try and get that answered for you as well. Anyway, that's all we have time for. Hope you've enjoyed the update. If you have, please remember to give us a big thumbs up. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any future content on the channel. If nobody else you think would be interested in building the Tantive in Lego, if you could share the channel with them, it'd be much appreciated. Anyway, thanks for coming by. Till next time, bye for now.